Go for it.
Aloha, Snackmar, and good morning, everyone. It is I, the majestic Silverback, the incomparable Ape, coming to you live on another edition of V and CJ in the Morning, where we are kicking down the doors of falsehood, exposing the realities of what is going on globally, as well as the economic breakdown like a team like none other can. It is us. We're back. It's another Monday. I love it. CJ, you there, bud?
I'm here. Can you hear me, V?
Dude, I'm pumped,
Checking
man.
in.
It's Trump day one, baby. Trump day. It's
It's day
MAGA
one.
day one.
It is day one.
It's MAGA. I'm excited, bro. I'm really excited. But first, before we even get into the whole entire show today, guys, and all the announcements and stuff, um, again, follow us on Twitter at the Rogue Money. Check us out on RogueMoney.net, the Rogue Money Facebook, and support us by hitting the subscribe button and hitting that thumbs up. Also, guys, again, also one of our sponsors is myfreedomnow.us. Myfreedomnow.us. If you are in debt, you are stressed out, you got collectors calling you, you need a reset button hit on your life because you need the credit score that you deserve because you want to buy a house, you want to get refinanced, you want to get a better car, you need an upgrade in your station. Check out myfreedomnow.us, myfreedomnow.us, where these guys can get you out of debt, get you on a path to success in 30 to 90 days or less on a typical file. And irrespective of what you got, bankruptcy judgments, liens, whatever the heck is going on with you, call them. They will fix you up. With that being said, CJ, MAGA day one, my friend. How was your weekend, by the way, bro?
My weekend was good, man. It warmed up here in the Midwest. I think it was on average, like 50 degrees this
Yeah.
weekend. So it was nice. Got outside quite a bit. Really enjoyed it. How about yours?
No, same here. It was beautiful. I mean, it was a little cloudy, but it was mild, man. 50s. I was loving it, man. Just loving
I'll
it.
take it. I'll take it for
All day. I love a
January.
mild
I'll take it.
winter. I'd
Yeah.
rather do that than shovel snow and deal with the snowstorms. I'm sick of snow, man. I don't want to, dude. After what was it, 3 years ago where we got clobbered? It was like every Tuesday was a
Oh,
snowstorm.
yeah.
It
It's got
was it was
hammered.
ridiculous. It was like the worst winter ever in the history of the country. I know you guys got hammered. We got hammered. We got blizzards every other week. I was done. I didn't want to see another snow. I'm like, I'm going to just join the snowbirds and move to Florida. Then it starts snowing in Florida. I'm like, what the hell? You can't win anywhere. I'm
Yeah,
like,
that one period where there was like snow on the ground for the first time ever in every 50 state. It was like unreal.
yeah, man. God let me know that year that there's no escaping snow because I think at that time also it snowed in the Sahara Desert. I was like, you got to be kidding me. I'm like, you got to be kidding me. I'm like, all right, forget it. I ain't going nowhere. I'm just gonna have to deal with it. I'm gonna have to thug it out, man. So funny thing to over the weekend, man. I'm trying to get my bearings straight over here, but you've been doing way too much research into Pizzagate that you go to the missus and say, honey, instead of saying, I need a place where I can get a good pedicure. I went up and saying to her, honey, I need a place where I can get a good pedophile.
Good. You're right. Every time that
I'm
every
like,
time you think of it, that hey, you want to order?
I know it's screwing me up, man. Pizzagate's got me all twisted up. I mean, I'm totally screwed up now. I can't, I said, pedicures have become pedophiles. I can't. I feel weird ordering pizzas. I usually say, and I'm being in New York when it's odd to order a pizza. It's a problem, CJ. It's a problem. I usually call them. Could I? Luckily, in New York we can get away with it. We don't call it pizza. Hey, let me get a large pie.
There
Let me
you
get
go.
let me get
Right.
a slice. Let me get a pie. Regular pie. Regular. We're able to get away with it, man. But oh my god, if I was out of state somewhere else and I have to say, let me get a large, a round doughy thing with sausage, and I'll have to have the other person say pizza. I'm like, yes, that's what it's called. Yes, that. Yes, I'll have one of those. It screwed me up. Screwed me up completely, bro.
Yeah, and then watching the news cycle was like it felt like it was a skit from Saturday Night Live or something every time that a
Yeah.
news thing would come on over the weekend, right? It's like, is that real? Is that make believe?
Yeah. Hey, hold on. I got the Russian calling me. Hold on.
All right, Roger that.
Hey, James, the Russian analyst. We're live on the air, bro. What's going on?
You want to jump in?
Yeah, go ahead. Okay.
Oh, the
Okay.
link's on the way.
You want me to send you a link? Holy cow! It's only 50 degrees outside, and the Russian wants to join us. It's a miracle.
Oh, it is. That's awesome.
All right, I'll have CJ send you the Hangouts link. If you have a Hangouts app on your phone, you can just jump right in, or if you're on a computer. All right, bye. All right, bye. Oh my God, the Russian is going to join us for a few minutes, man. Send him the link.
Excellent.
Send him the link. I cannot believe it. The analyst is going to join us. It's incredible. And he's joining us when it's 50 degrees outside. It's amazing. Not when it's a sub-Siberian -20. It's unreal, CJ. Unreal. It's a miracle.
You know that things have changed, V.
You know things have changed when the analyst is going to join us, my friend. You know it's MAGA. It's real, folks. If you can't feel it, you just can't deny it. You can't deny it, bro. But anyway, as he's showing up, let's talk about the first thing of the day. Let's talk about the fact of the angry kitties, the angry, terrifying, monstrous kitties that are marching in DC, CJ.
Oh gosh, yeah. So this whole thing, you know, when you look at how it was orchestrated and that many women coming together and everything, it just had all the markings of, okay, who's really behind this? What's really going on here?
Right.
And then I asked the simple question was that, what exactly are you marching for? And you heard so many different responses. We're not marching to protest, the inauguration. We're marching more for rights, for women's rights. Which right exactly? Which exactly right are you advocating for? Well, we're concerned. Well, I think a lot of people were concerned 8 and 4 years ago. So which right do you think has been taken away? Well, we don't know, but we're concerned.
Unreal, man.
The only thing that I just want to know is that, V, where do you exactly order a large vagina costume from? Where do you get that from, man?
It's the Clinton Foundation, man. They have a costume store. The Clinton Foundation is known to sell large costume vaginas, readily available at a moment. And in fact, it's actually George Soros, man. That's what it is. You gotta ask Georgi Soros. He probably knows what's going on. But the funniest thing is, man, Trump had more out of shape women moving in one day than Michelle Obama did in 8 years. So hats off to Trump. Thank you, sir, because even when you making your horribly ugly adversaries do some sort of physical activity. Unreal. And what are they protesting? Have you seen the picture, CJ? They're holding up pictures of this women in hijabs, but it was an American flag hijab. Like, what is the West? I mean, I'm sorry, not the West, but the left's fascination with radical Islam? I just don't get it, man. I just don't get it, bro.
Yeah, I was trying to understand that whole tie, and I get the whole aspect of, they wanted, a large, diverse crowd, and I'm not sure if they achieved that. And I think that they got a lot of radicals that were up there talking. Anytime that one of your spokespersons for your event is up there talking and advocating for thinking about blowing up the White House, I'd say that you're probably have aligned yourself with people that may not be representative of what you're trying to achieve. And then also, V, the other factor with that is then you don't allow women who want to protect, the right of a child to, so again, you had the pro-life people, that the women that wanted to participate, and they shut the door on them. They said, no, we don't want you here. So what kind of equal representation is that when you shut one group completely down of participating, and then you allow others who are radicals, who one of the main organizer has ties to Hamas, that they get up there and advocate more for the Palestinian state? So I don't get it. What part of Sharia law best aligns around the women's movement? I don't know. Is it the stoning? Maybe is it the stoning?
I think it's a stoning. I think it's the clitoral mutilation. I think it's walking 20 feet behind men. Don't expose your ankles. Oh, let me explain to you left this way, okay? This whole Sharia law business and your infatuation with Islam, guys, this is not about kink, okay? There's nothing kinky about wearing a burqa. There's nothing kinky about having your clitoris cut out. There's nothing kinky about being stoned. There's nothing liberating about not being able to drive a car. There's nothing liberating about not being able to go to school, not being able to vote, not being able to leave your house. I mean, they launched a satire series called the Real Housewives of ISIS. Have you seen that?
No, I have not.
Dude, it's brilliant. I mean, you can go to YouTube. I recommend everybody, go to YouTube, type in Real Housewives of ISIS. It is the most funniest thing you've ever seen. I mean, there's this one girl, she's like, "Oh, look, Jamal, he brought me a new chain." And she's like tied to the stove. It's now 8.5 feet. I can almost go out. And ISIS was so offended because they actually had the gall to release this video. But that's the whole thing. Like, what is up with you in the left? I mean, there are certain things. Look, here's the thing. The reality is this, okay? The vast majority I mean, there's some pundits are out there who, because they profit off the stuff because, they're making money off it. But you need to understand the vast majority of Muslims are fine. There's no problem, okay? There's no issues. You got Shias, you got Sunnis, but underneath that, you got 1,000,001 denominations, okay? You got most educated secular Muslims are not an issue. It's the nut jobs. With that being said, I hear sounds in the background. Is that the Russian? James, are you there? I see you, James. Maybe you're muted. Maybe I'm muted.
No, he's good. James, you there?
Oh, no. Damn it, the CIA got to him.
Maybe he stepped away for a moment. Go ahead, V. So
yeah, so so the whole thing is like, the majority of them is not a problem. You're talking about a Wahhabist, Salafist, extremist sect, which it's their poisonous ideology that goes everywhere. And the fact of the matter is that those types of people are not compatible with Western democracies. It's a huge friggin' problem. They need to be kept there, in check. They need to have, kept tabs on. But this whole entire move by the left to embrace this type of idiocies, it's beyond me, and it shows you the level of cognitive dissonance. These aren't smart, educated people, CJ. These are idiots. These are people who have a mental disorder. They hate themselves. I'm talking about the leftists, the far left. They hate themselves. They hate Western culture. They think Western culture has gotten here because of oppression. How many arguments do I get? Well, we need to return the land back to the Native Americans. I'm like, okay, well, here in New York, we have the Ramapo Indians who have the land, and but they stole it from the Blackfoot, and then the Blackfoot stole it from the Apache, and then the Apache got it from the Chippewa, and the Chippewa got it from the Sioux, and the Sioux got it from somebody else. So who exactly do we return the friggin' land to?
Exactly right.
And there's an old thing in warfare. It says, "Victor goes spoils." Paint an H on your chest and handle it. Deal with the fact that, this is warfare. This is how it works. You want to hate? Oh, that's the problem with the left. And that's why leftism as a political philosophy is dying in a nosedive fashion. Because there's always a concept of the oppressed and the oppressor. The women's rights march that we've seen over this weekend is a perfect example of it. What the hell are you marching against? What? We're marching on reproductive rights. Did somebody stop reproductive rights? No. I was watching one idiot being interviewed. We're marching for a woman's right to speech just like a man. I mean, first of all, you don't make any damn sense. Second of all, when did the freedom of speech get taken away from you, you morons? It's unreal, CJ.
It just
I'm seeing James. I'm seeing he's doing a screen share. It looks like, and he's got the mute button on. Let me call the Russian. See what the issue is.
All right, cool. Yeah. So you have so many women coming together. Okay, coming together, and it's understandable if they have one clear, concise voice. But then when they're all over the place, talking about the reproductive right, we're concerned about Planned Parenthood, and then you get people on the stage that are saying, hey, we want a Palestinian state, and we want we want to talk about, I've actually thought about blowing up the White House. And then you come to find out, who's funding a lot of these marches across the country and even globally. Where does it fall back to? So who funded the whole BLM, and who's funding the women's rights big march? None other than George Soros. So we come to find out through this is that, George Soros has ties to more than 50 of these partners of the Women's March on Washington. Georgi, is that what you did call him?
Yeah, that's his real name. Georgi Soros. So Georgi Soros is the man behind the 1 million pussy march, the angry kitties that are out there with their claws and their fangs out, showing their world their ugliness and their bitchiness. It is Georgi Soros. That is why only Georgi Soros, or his real name, Georgi Schwartz, but George Soros is the only man. Georgi is the only man who has the ability to unite stupid people everywhere. And how does he unite stupid people everywhere? Well, it's simple. He's able to do it by funding these NGOs, CJ. Unreal. Oh, is the Russian there?
Oh, the Russian is in the house.
James.
Okay, we have procured a microphone.
Ah, the Russian. He is here. Good morning, sir, comrade.
I am not visible to maintain the OPSEC.
Very good. You're coming in loud and clear, comrade. You're coming in loud and clear.
Okay.
Yeah, lest we get labeled as fake news and Russian propagandists, James.
Yes, FSB is paying me 20 rubles for this call.
20 rubles. I love it. What's going on, man? I haven't heard from you in so long. We love your articles and all the work you do at RM. And so what's new, man?
I've been working a very different schedule. Been off the show for a long time, as this audience is aware. Since we made the transition over to the new site, there's been a lot of changes, things going on. But overall, I'm very optimistic. I wanted to kind of crawl out of my cave because to express some positive thoughts.
Yeah.
First of all, I was very glad to see you guys host the program with Ivan Throne. He's a Castalia House author. I have no ties to Castalia House whatsoever, but I'm very interested in getting a copy of his book on motivation and turning
amazing book.
Negative things in your life into positives, and in that area of self-improvement. Second thing I wanted to say is just a word of gratitude to you gentlemen for what you've been able to do since you started the shows, and with CJ as the producer in particular, the variety of guests you've been able to bring on, the caliber of guests, guys like Jim Rickards and a lot of other people who are, Peter Schiff, major hitters in their respective fields, and a lot of people listen to. And the third thing I wanted to say is that, I never could have imagined when I first started doing the shows. And I think the first show I did with V, correct me if I'm wrong, was October. I did a couple shows in October 2014. Yep. First reached out to V, for those who don't know the backstory, in July of 2014, when the situation in Ukraine was escalating to a point where it looked like we were on the verge of a real major overt intervention. There was a covert intervention and some limited overt intervention, but it didn't turn out quite the way I was expecting. And, V just invited me on his program, said, you know a lot about this Ukraine topic, you know a lot about the conflict. Why don't you come on the show and talk to my listeners about it? And so we did I did one show with him. I think it was like an hour, 15 minutes, hour and a half. And then he's like, man, you got to come back on next week. And that's how it kind of snowballed from there. And, I never could have imagined when I started talking to V in July 2014 and did the shows, first shows, October 2014. Then I did, Caravan to Midnight with John B. Wells in December of 2014, that we'd be sitting here talking about the possibilities of repairing. I'm not going to say, everything's going to be hunky-dory, but repairing the U.S.-Russia relationship with a new president. And furthermore, that we'd have so much, per the topic you gentlemen were just discussing, so many people showing up to rallies, in this country, but in other places too, holding up their signs saying, Putin's candidate's not my president, and all this craziness. Right. I mean, it's just unfreaking believable to me.
Yeah.
Because these people, they're Russophrenics. There's a couple terms I've kind of coined. I didn't coin that one, but I coined another term that I'm going to take credit for. I'm going to put a little trademark TM sign next to it. Social justice cold warriors. These people are social justice cold warriors.
Yeah, very well said.
It's the narcissism, the pathological aversion to reality of the social justice warrior, combined with this sort of weird, toxic, Cold War II ideology. It's a very strange brew.
Yeah,
and it perplexes me. You see it on MSNBC with this Joy-Ann Reid. You see it all the time with all these people, and it's hard for me to fathom where it came from. I mean, we know who some of the players who are funding it, like George Soros, obviously is one, and we know that, as I observed firsthand, when I saw the buses lined up, bringing in people outside of Trump's speech in Chicago in February of 2014. I'm sorry, February 2016. When he came here and they shut him down, that we were going to see these kind of Maidan colored revolution tactics being brought home and tested in our country after they've been used in the former Soviet space. But, to see it kind of where it is now, I mean, where in terms of where it's going, what the protests are going to be, are they going to continue? Are they going to try, Occupy or Maidan style tactics? I don't know. I don't think it's going to work. I don't think the problem is that the only thing that seems to bring all these different people together is a hatred of Trump.
Right.
And, that's going to be a hard thing to maintain the momentum of. And the other thought, even a lot of mainstream media people have had is, okay, where were all these people when the election happened? Why didn't they vote?
Right, exactly.
And again, you could say, well, because some of them didn't like Hillary and she was too sold out and blah, blah, blah. But, I'm just astounded. My reaction this whole year, this past year in particular, as Trump gained the momentum and really, grabbed the media and the landscape by the what. It's just been surreal for me. It's been surreal. That's the only word I can use.
Very well said, man. It's been surreal. It's absolutely been surreal. I mean, what's happening doesn't make sense. Anybody who takes the time to really look at it, the fact that 50 organizations that are putting this whole entire thing together is funded by Soros. And here's the thing, man.
It doesn't mean that every person who's participating is funded by Soros.
Right. Exactly. It doesn't mean, but the organization.
Everybody who was on the Maidan in Ukraine was paid. Probably the majority were not. And
exactly. You don't need the majority.
Hijacking that manipulation of sincere will and enthusiasm and there's despair. There's a lot of the energy I see. It's a very dark energy because it's kind of driven by this manic despair.
Yeah.
Right. You get that same vibe too, CJ?
Absolutely.
Like there's a kind of nihilistic element to it. It's like if we just scream loud enough and we repeat the big lie often enough, like Goebbels said that, that the Russians helped Trump get elected, the Russians hacked the election, then it makes it true. And I said this to somebody close to me, and he's probably not going to like it, but I said to him, this is the Dolchstoß legend. This is the stab in the back myth. Mm-hmm. We're creating an American version of the stab in the back myth. For those who don't know the historical analogy, I'm referring to, the German army was losing in World War I because the U.S. Army got involved in 1918 and lots of troops came in and they were being beaten back. But they still controlled some territory in France at that time. And a lot of the right-wing people in Germany, I don't like using the left-right paradigm labels, but a lot of the nationalistic people and some who eventually became the Nazis claimed that, the German army didn't actually lose the war or wasn't losing the war. They just got defeated because people surrendered in Berlin. The November criminals, the Weimar Republic people came in. And of course, what I see that's kind of dangerous, gives me concern, is that we're seeing an American stab in the back myth being formed that I think was intended in extremis to be the basis for a soft coup against Mr. Trump.
Right.
But of course, this soft coup is failing. It's really fallen flat on its face. It's not working. I think Trump, when he went to the CIA on Saturday, was sending that message. Hey, I'm in charge. I'm the commander in chief. There are people here at CIA who are cheering me. CNN tried to lie and say, oh, that was all Trump's entourage. It wasn't true. I watched the video. Right. Anybody who watches the video can see there are people clapping in the audience who are not
absolutely
on the stage or who are not as part of Trump's delegation.
Correct.
So when you're talking about, am I coming through good, guys? Can you hear me?
Loud and clear, man.
Great. Well, I'm glad this camera turned upside down works as a mic too. You know, I wanted to say he's sending the signal. There were multiple aspects of it. Number one, he was sending the signal, I'm in charge. I'm the commander in chief. There is not everybody in the CIA is against me. The media's been making this up and creating this impression. Second thing he was sending the signal is that to people like John Brennan and others, Mike Morrell, who are quote unquote former, but they're still having their people inside. Hey, there are a lot of people here with me, and they're going to be looking over the shoulders of your guys, of your senior people, and they're going to find out who's been leaking.
Mm-hmm.
And that's another aspect of it. And, the third aspect, I think in the long term, Trump's probably going to have to make certain concessions that a lot of people of more libertarian inclination, which, I'm very libertarian at heart, are not going to like.
Right.
On the rendition issue, there's a lady who the Italian authorities want to extradite and, put in prison because she brought a jihadist, alleged Al-Qaeda terrorist. She was bringing him back to, I think, Gitmo or someplace. And the Italians put it on an arrest warrant for her. I think Trump is going to do something to get her, clemency from the Italian side so that he can gather some street cred, some credibility with the operational side of the CIA. Because I don't think it's the operational side of the agency that, for the most part, has a problem with Trump at all. It's the analysts, it's the bureaucrats.
Yep,
it's
exactly.
Now, there are maybe a few operational people that, may have to take early retirement if they were involved in the arm and train, the so-called arm and train program that was arming these jihadists that we know, took a lot of their weapons starting as early as 2012 and joined what eventually became ISIS. It wasn't known as ISIS then. It was known as, Al-Qaeda in Syria and Iraq, or Al-Qaeda in the Levant, whatever it was called. Right. But they changed, they morphed, they rebranded, and eventually they became the Islamic State. And I think what's going to happen, what's coming down, is that we're going to find out a lot more about John Brennan. And I've seen the signs, that the knives are coming out for him, Kellyanne Conway basically calling him a partisan hack. And that's where a lot of this panic is coming from. And so they're trying to threaten Trump with this, code revolution street protest thing. I don't think it's going to work. It's not working. And they're not going to be able to threaten him with this deep state revolt thing either, because there are people in the deep state, as we know, that are on Trump's side, or at least sympathize with some things he's trying to do.
Right.
He wouldn't have gotten this far without them, at least without a lot of support from the people in the Pentagon. The military, as he said in the CIA speech, voted strongly for him. So, probably even some people in that room voted for him. I don't know if it was a majority, probably not, but a significant number. I think it was about 400 people there.
Right.
So, CJV, do you have any questions for me? I mean, I've got about 20 minutes to work with. How much? I think we're good for about a half hour, right?
Yeah, go for it. I mean, dude, I'm glad you're on. So if you want to, dude, having you on is a treat. So for you to, call me out of the blue, I have no problems of sidelining what we had going on today and having you on. That's a treat.
Well, I kind of hinted that I wanted to do a morning show because honestly, with
I do remember
vampiric schedule, that was
I know.
To go. But that's changing, by the way.
That's a good thing. I'm happy to hear that.
Yeah, I'm not going to have to get in my coffin when the dawn comes,
No, I think you hit the nail on the head on a lot of factors there in terms of the whole women's movement. It's very unorganized. It's being structured and it's not healthy. It's not really healthy for the country.
Payroll babe, back when she actually was good. Gloria Steinem. A lot of this. This is why you guys totally got to get Jay Dyer on, because he can really go into the background of how the CIA encouraged the counterculture.
CJ, make a note of that.
Roger that.
Jay Dyer, jaysanalysis.com. I really admire the man's work. He does a great job.
Nice.
I'm sorry, CJ. I kind of.
No, I was just going to say, in terms of some of the things that they really could have celebrated. I mean, look at Kellyanne Conway, who became the very first female campaign coordinator to win a national election for president. That's something that they could have invited her to, recognize for that. Look at Melania Trump. She becomes the second ever non-U.S. born woman to ever be first lady. I mean, there were several things that they could have legitimately recognized as first for the women's movement, and I believe that everyone should have equal rights. But when you're that unorganized, when you're funded by the George Soros and these color revolutions, it's just not healthy for the country to move forward in this momentum. And we didn't do this to Obama. There was a lot of concerns regarding, Obama and his ties and, the CIA and everything else. So again, I mean, James, what do you think in terms of the administration and these first, few days? What's going to be pivotal for them? I think the CIA thing was a great thing because I think he needed to squash that whole thing that the media tried to hype up regarding, the CIA hates Donald and everything else. So I think that was a great first move for him to go in and to do that. But what do you think in terms of his next moves? I mean, what do you think is the right things to do for him and the country?
Well, that's a pretty broad question, but I'll try to take it point by point because you set it up very well. Number one, Melania Trump, great point. She is a real asset to Donald. She really is. I mean, her style. I made this observation to my wife, and I I don't mean to sound less heterosexual here, boys, but her style was very Jackie Kennedy-esque. Yes. I don't know if y'all noticed that she wore the light powder blue dress that looked very much like Jacqueline Kennedy's that you saw her wearing in the early 60s. And that's not an accident. I think both in terms of Kennedy being one of the presidents, along with Reagan, most admired of the last half century, in Europe in particular, but especially Kennedy. And, the fact that a lot of people in Russia were talking about it, how she dressed and complimenting her and saying, wow, look at this. America has such a Slavic beauty as a first lady.
Yeah.
And, so that's number one. She's not Russian, by the way. She's Slovenian for those in the audience who don't know. She's born. Slovenia is a small, mostly Catholic, traditionally Catholic, I should say, country in the former Yugoslavia that, of course, Yugoslavia had ties to the Soviet Union, but it was very independent. It was an independent socialist country that kind of played both sides. And she really, impressed people with her ability to just say, during the campaign when they said, well, you're an immigrant too. How do you feel about your husband's rhetoric? And she's like, I came here illegally.
Yeah.
That's what people need to do. And that, that combination of beauty and brains impressed me. But I will say, regarding CJ was asking what the Trump administration is going to do now or what they're going to do next. Well, I'm not a pundit or I'm not a professional pundit or prognosticator, but what I can say is that I think they're going to emphasize the fight against Daesh, against ISIS.
Yeah.
That's really a strong card they have to play to kind of put people like McCain and Graham in particular on their heels because, nobody can be for ISIS, but they really need to start making an issue of the fact that the campaign against ISIS has been really slow on the Iraqi side, with moderate success, but in Mosul, but especially on the Syrian side, it's been basically glacial to non-existent progress until the last few weeks when, the Russians and Turks got together and stopped, being on opposite sides of the conflict, or at least agreed to a truce in certain areas of Syria. And now they're actively cooperating together without the U.S. air support that the lame duck Obama administration was not willing to give. They are bombing the Daesh bags, the ISIS terrorists at al-Bab together, joint strike missions. So we have a NATO member, in fact, the NATO member with, on paper, the second largest military in NATO, cooperating with Russia, which is a game changer. And in terms of what the Trump administration is going to do, I think they're going to try to build on some momentum and basically say, you know what, guys, we need to get more aggressive with ISIS. We need to go on the offensive. We need to hit them harder and push them faster because this timeline that I think it was Lieutenant General Townsend, the man who's been in charge of the campaign, thus far, who was put in charge by Ash Carter, the former Secretary of Defense, saying that it might take 3 more years to defeat crushed ISIS. No, that's not good enough. We need to crush them in 1 year. We don't need, maybe better yet, 6 months. We don't need 3 years to do this job.
No, absolutely correct, man. It just requires the.
Most of them are a bunch of punks anyway. I mean, there are certain elements that seem to show a lot of skill in terms of urban warfare and booby traps and suicide IDs. But once you give guys enough tools to counteract those techniques, and once the soldiers are professional, well dug in, trained for it, and they have air support, it doesn't work anymore. You just blow those VBIDs to hell, 400 or 500 yards away with a Cornet or a Javelin anti-tank missile, and it doesn't work anymore.
Right.
And it especially doesn't work when you finally get all the powers in Syria on the same page and say, okay, we're all actually going to fight Daesh together this time. We're not going to let any more huge ISIS convoys cross the desert unbombed to attack Palmyra like happened in 2015, which resulted in the execution of the archaeologist in residence there and massive destruction to a priceless archaeological treasure, and plus all the other lives that were lost. We're not going to let that crap happen anymore. And you know what? If there are any, the hints need to be dropped behind the scenes to Riyadh and Doha. If you've got your special forces guys there, they need to get the hell out because we're going to fry them if they don't.
That's it. Absolutely correct, man. And let me ask you this, James, because you got the pulse to the finger over here. You have the finger to the pulse in terms of how the media. Kellyanne Conway recently says about rethinking the relationship with the press. I look at it as the mainstream media getting neutered. And they're going to be on the outside looking in. What's your take on that, man? The fact that they were out there, and again, while Trump's press secretary gave his first dictum as the press secretary, and the way the media reacted, saying, "Oh, it's just a bunch of false allegations, this, that, and the other." What's your take on it from your media sources?
Yeah, what I'm hearing, there's a lot of concern in the media about Trump and claiming that Spicer, he lied about the crowd sizes and everything. To be honest, I haven't been paying that close attention to that controversy just because I think it's chicken crap, if you'll pardon my language.
Yeah, it is.
It's not that important in the big scheme of things how many people were there. I hope that if they overstated it or they pressed it, they can just kind of say, look, the best way to approach that is say, yeah, maybe fewer people did show up than for Obama's inaugural in 2008, but more people watched on television around the world than ever before. And second, who cares, in terms of just about crowd turnout, because a lot of Trump supporters had to work. They couldn't get off on Fridays. And DC is 92% Democrat voters. Of course, all the government workers, had the day off, when Obama got inaugurated or took the day off. Who cared, right? So it's kind of neither here nor there, but the larger issue that's at stake is that we're seeing the legacy media, and I don't want to call them mainstream media anymore, right? Let's call ourselves the new media. We're not the alt media, we're the new media, and let's call them legacy media because they're not so mainstream anymore.
Right.
Because their audience just shrinks and shrivels every year. And, when you look at the former big three networks, ABC, CBS, NBC, what their average viewer is now 59, 62, somewhere in that demographic. It's all depends and all kinds of stuff that's for, an older audience. Maybe if you watch Fox News, there's Viagra ads. But I'm just saying, like, this is kind of the last tantrum, the last hurrah, because if people realized from the insider's perspective that I have, if they knew how skeletal a lot of respected media organizations have become, how withered and how few people there are, and how demoralized a lot of the people who work in so-called mainstream media are, I don't think that they would necessarily dislike the slant of the press less, but at least I think they could understand why it's so hard for these people to speak the truth of power anymore, except to Trump. That's their quote unquote speaking the truth of power, except in the end, it's kind of an empty gesture because, number one, people ask, well, where was all this skepticism, healthy skepticism of the presidency when Obama was in office? And number two, a lot of times they get caught blatantly making up fake stories. The Martin Luther King bust being a perfect example that Trump brought up in his speech delivered at the CIA on Saturday. That was fake news. There was no removal of the bust of Martin Luther King just to make way for the Winston Churchill thing. It's not like, there wasn't room for both busts to coexist in the Oval Office. Right. So, the bottom line is the legacy media is dying. It's very demoralized. I know people who work in it. I've had sources who worked in it. I've mentioned before in the stories that, some of my sources are well aware that mainstream media outlets, the Associated Press, BBC, Reuters, they all sat on the story of thousands of Ukrainian combat deaths over what the Kiev government will admit. They've all been covering it up for, at least 2.5 years. I mentioned it on Wells' program back in December of 2014. And guess what? Hardly anything has happened really since then. That's just one example of what I'm personally aware of. I'm sure there is so much more in terms of stories that the media has sat on that will come out in this year. I think, I don't know which new media host it was who said that 2017 will be the year of the truth bomb. Maybe you're aware of, CJ.
Yeah.
Which one who said it? It's going to be the year of the truth bomb. Of course, I've been sending you links, by email to, some of the things some of the background of the Pizzagate thing. I don't really want to get into that personally because it's not my area of expertise.
Well, it's completely screwed me up, man.
It is, it is really one of the biggest of all potential truth bombs. I think the truth bomb that I'm predicting, that I'm really seeing on my radar scope, is the fact that we've already had Turkish troops who are supposedly our NATO allies. After the coup in July, they said, "Oh, we're just as close to Turkey as ever before," and U.S.-Turkish relations are fine. It was a lie, of course. They weren't fine, but you've already got Turkish soldiers. They take a building or seize the facility from ISIS, and they find all this ammo there. Some of it from the Turkish army, with ISIS. Some of it else comes from Croatia, is a big arms smuggling country into the Syria conflict. ISIS included. Serbia, NATO's tried to buy the Serbian elite by making them a lot of money with arms deals to the Syrian rebels and ISIS. Not directly, but indirectly through intermediaries. When our troops start taking ground from ISIS, when you have JSOC, whether it's Special Forces, Marines, Army Rangers, whoever it is who goes in first, and they find caches, large arms caches that they seize from ISIS when ISIS runs away like hell, they're going to find ammo from NATO countries, overwhelmingly from NATO countries. They'll find some, Russian stuff that was bought through intermediaries in Belarus, whether, the arms dealers in Lebanon. But, you're going to have people. That's not something that the military is going to be able to keep a lid on. People are going to talk. This is 2017. I don't know if they're going to talk to Jack Murphy of SOFREP.com. They're going to talk to new media sites. People are going to say, hey, we killed a bunch of Daesh bags in ISIS, and we're like 20 miles outside of Raqqa, and there's a crap load of NATO standard ammo here that was shipped very recently. It wasn't captured by from the Iraqis in 2014 or 2013. It's been here recent, brand new stuff. Who shipped this to them, right? I mean, that's a truth bomb that's just coming down like a freight train, right, down the tracks.
Right.
You and I can see it. CJ understands. Anybody can understand that this myth of what ISIS is and what it isn't, it's not just a collection of old Saddam-era officers who got together with some Al-Qaeda and Iraq people. That's really only a subset or a small number of what it is. Okay.
Right.
And, again, that's part of all this panic. It's like, what are these people so scared of? If just besides Trump being such a bad leader, oh, okay. Well, this country's had bad presidents before. We survived 4 years of Jimmy Carter. We survived 8 years of Obama. So what are these people so scared of, if not the exposure of their involvement, specifically Brennan, but others as well, in creating this monster? Right?
Absolutely. Yeah, 1,000%. They're terrified. I mean, there's all sorts of
they're terrified of Trump personally. They're terrified of
the information that's going to be coming out. Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly, man. It's so true. I mean, you got also the Saudis are panicking big time as well, man.
Yeah. Yeah. And by the way, speaking of the Saudis, since you brought them up, I saw just another some more videos were posted of some attacks on their border posts. I think it was Najran province in southwestern Saudi Arabia. Houthis are just roaming back and forth, blowing stuff up, like it's no biggie. I mean, just, they're still losing that war. They're still covering up their casualties. These people that think, we've got to get together with our traditional Sunni Gulf Arab allies, and they're going to help us sort out Daesh. Guys, the Saudi army can't even fight these, Houthi tribesmen on their own home soil. How the heck are they going to help you defeat Daesh in Syria?
Right.
I remember all the hype, and you guys remember. I'm sure you do, V. Some of the people in the audience when they said, "Oh, the Saudis are going to invade Syria alongside the Turks." Did it happen? No.
No, of course not.
It's only Turkish troops, and they've been advancing very slowly, very tepidly.
Yeah.
Because 60% of their officers or something like that, some unreal, crazy Stalin era percentage got purged, got kicked out, and a lot of them are in prison right now.
Right.
With threats to imprison some of their family members and children under the age of 18 if for suspicion of their involvement in this coup against Erdogan. So yeah, the Turkish army's combat and performance has not been all that impressive. However,
no,
I will say that again, this also goes back to the obsolescence of most of the armor, most of the tanks out there in the age of the anti-tank missile. Now, how Daesh seems to have enough anti-tank missiles, it's like a freaking video game. Not to sound like our late friend Michael Rosecliffe, but it's like a video game, where you never run out of ammo mode, or that Commando where Arnold Schwarzenegger just keeps blowing people away and never runs out of ammo. These guys never seem to run out of anti-tank missiles. Why is that? You're not supposed to ask Captain Obvious questions like that. If they're surrounded, even their supply lines from Turkey have supposedly
cut. Supposedly cut. Yeah.
And they're still shooting off TOW-2s and Coronets like it's not so much the Coronets, but the TOWs like it's no tomorrow.
Yeah. Yeah, it makes you wonder where they get who's dropping in supplies.
Right.
How are they getting it in there? It's the fifth column hacks over at the Cocaine Import Agency, my man. That's what it is.
It's Saudis, Qataris, somebody's giving it to them. So anyway, I've got about 5 minutes to wrap up. Gentlemen, are there any questions?
What do you think? First,
are there any questions from the chat? Do we have people asking questions in the chat board?
CJ, do we?
We haven't thrown it up. We don't. Maybe I will. I know there's only 5 minutes left, but we will definitely do that the next time. How's that?
Yeah, definitely next time. Next time, yeah, we'll definitely have a Vox.
They would love that.
Yeah, because there are a lot of obviously myths and rumors, and there's probably no country, especially right now in the media, that has more ridiculous things published about it than Russia. Yeah. Of course, the alt media, the new media, is not immune to that either. Okay.
Exactly.
Spetsnaz and Gatlinburg.
Oh my God, where do we begin with that one? Where do we begin with that one? But no, I mean your take on the first week or two with Trump being in, man. What do you think?
It's all about momentum. It's about saying, we're going to keep kicking ass. If you'll let me use that expression, we're going to keep taking names. We're going to go after Daesh. I saw that one of Trump's first 7 executive orders, besides the Obamacare and some of the other stuff, the stopping the funding for Planned Parenthood, abortions overseas, was about saying, we need a comprehensive plan to defeat Daesh, ISIS faster. That's how he needs to keep the pressure on. Let these people talk about how they're going to have we're going to have our Senate hearings about how Russia hacked the election. We're going to keep the pressure on Trump. Let McCain and Graham do that, but keep the heat on them. And maybe we're going to see, some hints of the pushback that the FBI is going to start investigating some of their staff for the meetings with the Muslim Brotherhood in Egypt in 2013, and some of the other relationships they've had.
Yeah.
And foreign funding.
Absolutely. James, your last minute plug, sir. How can people follow you and any social media stuff you might have? Because I know you're right now probably more mysterious than I am at this point.
Yeah. You can find me on Gab. That's the new platform that's free.
Is it finally open? Can I go there and join now?
I think I thought you already joined. There's a Rogue Money account on Gab, I think. But
oh, good. That's right.
Yeah, gab.ai/JWSRUS. JWS. Nice. It's very easy. I'm there. That's probably one of the best ways to get in touch with me. You can send me an email at james@roguemoney.net.
Perfect. The Russian analyst has come in for an early spring.
Coming from the cold.
Absolutely. And James, thank you for all the wonderful articles that you post and all the emails. Yeah, just really appreciate it, man.
All right. Have a great morning, gentlemen.
You too, man. Enjoy it, bro. Thank you so much. Take it. Have a good one. Bye-bye. And there goes the Russian analyst, James, the Russian analyst who has graced us with his presence. And to think, CJ, we were just talking about the weather being mild, and here comes the Russian analyst out of
I know,
nowhere.
right? Yeah.
It didn't require sub-zero Arctic-like temperatures for the Russian to come in. But he came, he joined us, and he ran down a litany of news topics, bro, which was totally awesome. We got a couple minutes left, man. Let's bang out a few more. Let's talk about I guess where do you want to go, man? Let's talk about
Well, I think in terms of the first, 7 executive orders, I think it's important to kind of track.
Oh yeah.
The momentum of what Trump has going on. I mean, there's so much out there that's right now that's going to truly, make a difference. So when you look at, James talked about the momentum going forward, and you look at the immediate things that Trump did. Number one was that, opening up to modify Obamacare and take a look at what is working, but then more importantly, put the changes in place. I think that's a big win. I think that that's something that has really been, hindering, corporations from hiring and created that part-time economy, V.
Yeah, absolutely, man. It really is. When we look at those 7 executive orders that are immediately going into place, right? One of those things is renegotiating NAFTA, right? And this morning, like today, what's happening to the peso and the loonie? Okay, the peso and the loonie, the Canadian dollar, they are crashing. Okay, they are freaked out right now. They're like, oh my God, this guy's actually going to go ahead and do it. He's going to renegotiate NAFTA. Yes. Is he going to withdraw from TPP, the Toilet Paper Protocols, also known as the Trans-Pacific Partnership? Yes, he is going to be out of there as well. Border immigration security. Okay, we've heard the story about a bunch of crazy women who wanted to join the Crazy Women March because they're afraid that their freedom of speech is going to get taken away, who crossed the border in from Canada, and they were going to go to D.C. to protest. Nope, didn't happen. They got caught at the border. The border agents told them, it's a brand new day, ladies. Have a nice day. Get the heck back to Canada, after being held for several hours. And the people that got, they had to drive back to Canada, and they were saying, oh my God, this has never happened before. We came down in 2008 and 2012 to support Obama. I can't believe we're turned around at the border. Yes, you were turned around at the border because it's a new day. It's MAGA. It's MAGA reality. It's American reality, and it's a whole new world. Wonderful things, man. A lot of other great things. Hiring freeze of the executive branch. 5-year lobbying ban on
absolutely the reform that he's proposing, right? I mean, think of that 5-year lobbying ban on a transition of anyone in the administration. That's huge. I mean, think of it this way: a lot of those, the senators, the congresspersons, when they lose, what do? They go work for some company, as a huge lobbyist, having inside route to, talk. So that ban is a great start.
Absolutely. And the next thing he's going to be tackling, brother, is the budget. And this guy, the thing with Trump is he's put all this in the public. This is his contract with the citizens. I don't know if people know that, but he's actually made it available. Okay, you go to his complete rundown. He's made it, quite available what he's going to be doing. His contract is basically his checklist of what he's going to accomplish. A lot of it's going to be done with executive orders, but also going to require a lot of legislative muscle to get done. He's going to need our help. And his entire thing with the budgets and stuff, that's going to be the next thing to target. And it's a completely different, it's a real budget plan, CJ, as opposed to the budget that's being, propositioned by the House and the Senate, which is really doesn't put much dent into the spending. Trump's plan he literally cuts the excess fat off this whole entire budget. So people in the House are panicking because they're pork barrel spending like they used to do every year, CJ. It's not going to happen.
Absolutely not. There's going to be a huge, just the whole freeze on hiring for the federal government. I mean, they're going to be streamlined. It's going to eliminate a lot of the waste. You have out there proposed budgets to balance the budget. You have, Rand Paul that's out there that's saying, and it has a lot of traction right now regarding the audit the Fed. I mean, that may legitimately pass this year and be at Trump's, desk probably by March.
Yeah, right. Absolutely, man. Absolutely, 1,000%. All this is happening. They're protesting their loss of rights. They're protesting they're protesting all these the most stupidest things in the world. And they can't figure it out. They're like, oh, we're gonna, it's gonna be a change. Why? Because all of a sudden now you got to go back to work. He's taking away your Obama phone and giving you an alarm clock. Is that why you're protesting? I mean, what is and at the same time, look, CJ, I said it so many times. The last thing the extreme leftists want to do is to become more extreme leftists, but that doesn't stop them. What's going on with that crazy person from Saturday Night Live, and how's this, blown up in their face?
Well, right. So, one of the writers from Saturday Night Live just comes out and, out of nowhere, Barron Trump is sitting there, the first kid, the first, male inside the White House since JFK Jr., right? So this is pretty neat thing, right? That he's going to be there. So she comes out and says that he will be the first, homeschooled mass shooter, come out of the White House. I mean, where in the world does she, get that from? Just puts that on I think she tweeted that out, just crazy, and they called her out for it. She went in, she posted that Saturday Night Live writer tweets that Barron Trump will be America's first homeschool shooter.
So tasteless. So tasteless.
Yeah, so Katie Rich,
So
a writer
disgusting.
for Saturday Night Live, launched a personal attack on President Donald Trump's youngest son, Barron Trump. Barron will be the first country's, first homeschool shooter. And again, she put this on social media, and they went right after her. So many people have came out and spoken against that. I know myself, as long as she's still a writer for SNL, I will not be watching that show. That is just completely absurd to do that. Here are kids going through a huge transition, right?
Right.
It's got to be significantly different for him. And then to do this and make these kind of comments, it falls right in line with Madonna's stupidity with "I've thought about blowing up the White House."
It's unbelievable, and most people don't realize this, but those rioters that were rioting this weekend, guess what, you idiots? You are all going to be charged federally on felony charges. I don't know if you've heard of this, CJ. But they'll be charged with felony counts and facing 10 years in prison. Bunch of morons. You can't get away with this crap. People are sick of it. This is a whole new day. You can't be going around destroying and defacing property, injuring people. You're not protesters. You're a bunch of punk kids, man. Bunch of punks, CJ.
Yeah, setting cars on fires and smashing glass out of the stupidity, right? So they're breaking glass windows out of Starbucks and Bank of America who completely opposed Trump and were supporting Hillary, but they're still breaking out windows to those buildings.
Unreal.
Stupidity.
And it pisses me off. Why do you always target Starbucks? Why?
They're gonna be closed at least 2 days, V.
Leave Starbucks alone. Why do you idiots always do it? Don't you understand? They brew deliciousness. Wonderful dark roast. Just leave it alone, man. Leave it alone. God, if I was there, CJ, I would just stand guard right in front of the Starbucks. I wouldn't move. I would attack any one of these anarchist scumbags, these communist anarchists. Why are they an oxymoron, CJ? Why do they call themselves communist anarchist? It's an oxymoron.
I just don't think that they understand it. I have no. I don't even know if I even want to understand it. We have the level of stupidity that's there with those types of comments.
These are entitled punk kids running amok, calling themselves communist anarchists. It's ridiculous. I would just stand and just leave the Starbucks alone. Just stop. Anyway, real quick, man, we got the SEC wants to launch 2 Bitcoin ETFs. Did you see this?
Well, yeah. I mean, I go ahead. I mean,
Yeah, man. I mean, what's happening is that the SEC is considering whether to approve 2 proposed Bitcoin ETFs. If approved, they would be the first ETFs exclusively focused on Bitcoin. And again, this is why the banksters want to get involved in Bitcoin, because now they're like, you know what, we could launch a Bitcoin IPO, $500 million IPO. They want to get this thing going. I would stay away from it. If you want to play it, go ahead and play it. It's your thing. But this is the kind of stuff that we want to avoid because it's not real Bitcoin. It's not real Bitcoin. It's an ETF. It's a derivative. It's a variation. I would stay away from it, but if you can make some money on the trade, consult your own financial professional. You can get involved yourself and put your own game in the skin. But anyway, it shows you the legitimacy that you can't ignore Bitcoin anymore. Here's also a great thing. People have asked me, CJ, I said that like a true New Yorker, asked me.
Ask me.
Yeah, they asked me. And so I'm gonna give out 2 great ways of getting Bitcoin right now. I'm gonna do it right now.
Break it down. Break it down for us. Break it down.
All right. So here's the deal. So you want to get Bitcoin. This is what you want to do. Okay. You got to get a wallet first and foremost, and you got to go to a place where you can buy the Bitcoin. Okay. And it's right now it's still safe, so you can do this. Okay. First, let's set up a wallet. Okay. You either want to get on. I like Breadbasket. Okay, and I also like Copay. Copay is pretty good as a Bitcoin wallet because it has a smartphone app, and you can get your it's on all platforms: iOS, Android, Windows, Mac, Linux. I mean, you name it, Chrome, whatever. Copay is on everywhere. It's a great Bitcoin wallet. Okay, now once you download the Copay app, just go to Coinbase. Okay, and once you're on Coinbase, what you want to do is go to Coinbase.com. And you can buy Bitcoin directly from them, okay? And then once you get it on Coinbase, again, they're an exchange. You don't want to keep it there forever. Get the Bitcoins out of Coinbase and into your wallet on Copay. That's your digital wallet. Now, what you could also do, you could also get a paper wallet. So you could transfer what's on your Copay onto a paper wallet and keep a portion of that filed away into a safe. So that's one way of doing it. So either you get a Breadbasket, Bread Wallet. Okay, that's the one. Bread Wallet or Copay. You get one of those apps and then buy your stuff from Coinbase, transfer it over to Copay. It's pretty easy to do. You could watch YouTube videos on how to get it done. So that's what I would do, folks, for those people that are asking questions about questions about getting Bitcoin.
I think that's a gangster coming out in UV. That's the gangster.
That's what it is. This is the gangster, man. The ape, the notorious APE, man. That's it.
Absolutely.
Oh, man. All right. So last bit of news of the day. Anything else you want to cover, CJ?
You want to touch base on the gold, the correction that's coming in gold in 2017, B?
Yes. There is lot of pundits, a lot of analysts are talking about one big correction before the gold rush of 2017 begins. This is by Christopher Mullen, and Christopher Mullen was he's from investing.com. He says one question that gold investors are asking now is, will 2017 be a spectacular year for the yellow metal as it was in 2016? The short and sweet answer to this is yes. The dollar, gold, and major U.S. stock exchanges will see new highs. Gold is currently in a complex corrective correction while experiencing its last pullback beforehand. Both the short-term outlook and the long-term outlook for gold is bullish. Trump's win is positive for gold bulls. Policy uncertainty and slowing growth will stoke yellow metals prices in 2017. One of the things that Chris doesn't talk about, that the ape, the majestic silverback, has said to all of you, is the fact that people are going to be looking for safe hedge bets in an alternative to U.S. bonds because there's a lot of shakiness going on in the bond market. They know there's a bubble in the bond market. It's going to get deflated. Again, remember, guys, you can't have a marching bond market and a marching stock market rising at the same time. One has to go up or the other. So tag, you're it. Bond, you're going down. Equities are going to surge. But with equities surging, you're going to see a certain percentage of investors that are going to look for a safe harbor alternative. Where are they going to go, CJ? Euro bonds? I don't think so. Where are they going to go? Japanese bonds? I don't think so. Where are they going to go, CJ? Are they going to buy Australian ETFs? No, they're not going to. There's only one place for them to go, and that's going to be the yellow metal. Okay? You're going to see, that's the one thing that people are talking about. So you're going to see the yellow metal, you're going to see the stocks, you're going to see the Bitcoins, the cryptocurrencies, all the exotic alternative asset classes, commodities are getting ready to boom. So I'm excited about that. Gold prices have been under pressure since the Trump victory, but the long-term scenario for gold is that it is parabolic. The global economy is still in contraction. Global central bankers continue with monetary easing, leading to currency debasement. Interest rates continue to slide into negative territory in Europe and Asia. Gold investment appeal will encounter a period of time before it generates positive yields. gold as an investment will once again be back in vogue. As prices rally, investment demand will only rise further, taking everyone by surprise. And the demand for gold jewelry has been declining with a large gold-consuming nations. Gold investors will call the shots in the new bull market for gold. Currently, supply constraints has cushioned gold prices from a rally in the U.S. dollar. And this is not even counting, CJ, what's happening in the New Silk Road with all the gold buys by the Chinese and the Russians. Do you want to cover what the Russians are doing,
Yeah,
bro?
absolutely, absolutely. So this comes to us from Sputnik News, and it looks like last year in 2016, Russia's gold reserves, international gold reserves, grew by 14.7%. So they are starting to stockpile. Now, remember, this is just what's published. Imagine what the true number is, right, V?
Oh, yeah.
So so Russia's gold reserves grew by 14% in 2016. So again, 1,614.3 metric tons, and this comes from the Bank of Russia. So again, we covered it last week regarding China and their drift to gold, and you're seeing it all across. You don't have to look at every news that's covering regarding the currencies that are falling around the globe. And you're exactly right, V. You're going to see where they're going to hover to. They're going to go right back to the metals, right back to gold.
Absolutely, man. That's going to be the safe hangout. So, take advantage of low prices, guys. You want to get gold. I mean, there's so many outlets that sell it right now. Find the best deals. That's my best advice to all of you. Just find the best deals possible. With that being said, CJ, we have come to the end of this illustrious broadcast. We'll be probably back on in about an hour or so with London Ball.
Yeah, looking forward to it. Be awesome.
That's gonna be phenomenal. I know he's got a lot of intel. With that, give you shout outs, buddy, and we'll close this thing out.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, thanks everyone for being here this morning. Last week was a very dynamic week for Rogue Money, so there's tons of great interviews last week. Go back and listen to our post-inaugural epic 2.5-hour coverage that we did. Go back and listen to Friday night's show. I've listened to it 3 times already, and I'm not kidding. I've listened to it 3 times with Ivan talking about the 9 laws. So again, I ordered the book. I ordered the hardback just like V. We don't get paid nothing to promote it. It's just one of those things that I think in terms of marching forward in terms of 2017, it's all about individual liberties. It's all about individual gain and empowering ourselves to make a difference in our lives and for our families. So that's my only plug, B.
Yeah, absolutely, man. And I'd say that too. The 9 Laws, Ivan Thorne's book. Look, man, I read tons of productivity books, self-help books. I don't care what the heck you've been through in life. You suffer from depression. You're suffering from doubt, negativity, anxiety, whatever the heck it is you're going through. Get the 9 Laws, especially if you're a guy. If you're a man and you have the fizzy feelings of a warrior, you got a pair on you. You want to become more masculine. Check out the 9 Laws, man. It is freaking awesome. I mean, I'm already marking up my book, making notes. This is my book, man. I'll stab somebody for it, CJ. Stab somebody. But with that being said, check us out again, guys. RogueMoney.net. Follow us at The Rogue Money on Twitter, The Rogue Money Facebook. Follow us on the Apple News app. If you have an iPhone or iOS device, just hit the News app and just type in Rogue Money, and voila, we are there. And also the podcast. Okay, just get the Rogue Money podcast. If you have an Android phone, just go to Pocket Cast. I know there's other podcasting apps that are out there, but Pocket Cast seems to be the best one for Android. And also for iOS, just on the podcasting app there that's available on iOS, just type in Rogue Money. We'll be there. Just subscribe to the podcast. God, I don't even know, man. Tens of thousands of people that are subscribed to that already. So check it out. And with that being said, also check out the guys over at myfreedomnow.us. You got some credit issues, debt problems. Check out myfreedomnow.us. This is V the Gorilla. And CJ, we are over and we're out. Take it away, CJ.